Now, I see I'm wearing my school hoodie, my Achievement First hoodie, because of the story I'm going to tell later at the end of the video. And I was like, why not just put this on for it? There's something that was on my mind earlier today. And it get dark outside quick, so like, that's tough. I mean, it's Connecticut, winter around this time. Anyway, there's something I wanted to talk about. It was on my mind. I saw this Dr. Umar video, and it kind of like, it kind of resonated with my last video that I made about Jay-Z and the times that we in. And I felt like it's been a month since we heard those like allegations come out on him, but nothing's happening. You saw how fast it was for Diddy. See, when the allegations came out on him, it kept piling up, piling up, piling up. But with Jay now, it's been about like a month. And you know what I'm saying? Well, we just got to see. 2025 is about to be here in like a few days. So we just got to see. I mean, hey. So, first of all, to understand this whole conversation that we about to have, to get into this, you got to understand something. That the industry is built off of darkness. The way the industry is organized, planned, orchestrated, it's not normal. It's a sick game that you just gotta understand. Look, I wrote down all my notes that I want to talk about right here because there's a lot to talk about. I want to keep this less than 20 minutes though, because my other videos be going too long. Now, you're going to see me looking down. I'm just going to be reading my notes and stuff. You get it. Look, I'm not really good with remembering everything and trying to tell y'all exactly how I picture it, so I got to write it down. Anyway, that's besides the point. Like I said 30 seconds ago, you got to understand that the industry is ran off of darkness. Then when you understand that, you understand how it works and why it works the way it does. Now, the industry is a sick game. Just to be honest, it's a sick game with people's lives and control and so many rabbit holes within itself. And a part of this game, a part of this career that you have is that you have to sell your life to a contract. You got to sell, when you hear the metaphor, sell your soul to a contract, you literally are selling yourself short to abide by this contract for your entire life until you die. And there's so much with that. You know what I'm saying? It's so much. Now, a part of this game or a part of your life being connected to this contract, obviously you have to hold up your end of the stick. There's two ends of the stick, obviously. They hold up their end and you have to hold up your end. You have to abide by this no matter what the situation is, no matter what comes out. You have to literally, that's why we say sell your life to it. You have to abide by this permanently. That's your number one job. Then all of a sudden you get dropped off. It don't matter how long it is. It could be decades, it could be years, however long it is. It could be months. You have to hold up your end of the stick. They hold up their end of the stick. And then when you mess up with that, then you get dropped off. You get dropped off like they don't know you. They wipe you off their hands clean. So whenever a celebrity messes up, all of a sudden, and to understand why it always results into this, it's because of the weird stuff that they do behind the scenes. All the stuff that you heard about early this year at the Diddy parties and, the mansion party, all the stuff that you heard about throughout this whole year. And matter of fact, this whole decade, because since COVID hit, so much has been coming out about this. But I might just stick to the recent, more heard about stuff, which is the Diddy parties. That's just an example of how crazy shit could get, right? So all of a sudden, when you don't hold up your end of the stick, they hold theirs up and they start to drop off all these allegations on you. Even though you did it, right? You were being protected, but now they're going to unprotect it and they're just going to show it out to the world. And it's going to hit social media, right? So all of a sudden, you're unprotected, you know what I'm saying? Your name is being tampered with, your name is being destroyed, you're losing money, all types of stuff. You're getting lawsuits, you know, like how they tried to do Michael, right? Even though Michael was proven not guilty, right? What it did was it tarnished his name. Like, it's been proven that he didn't do it, but it was tarnished to his name. Now, it don't even matter if you did do it or if you didn't do it. Like what Denzel said in Training Day, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove, right? So that's what this whole thing is. It's just like what game can I don't know what game I could connect it to, but it's literally like a sick game. All of a sudden, all these years later, all these years and these decades later, these allegations come out. All of a sudden now, they used to be protected. They used to be protected for a long time, 90s, 80s, 70s, 2000s, 2010s, but all of a sudden when you slip up, it drops quick, drops fast, probably maybe even the same day, a week later. Now, the industry will throw you under the bus. They will never protect you. As soon as you mess up, it's like they never known you at all. And we've seen that over the past decade with these black celebrities, these black artists, right? We've seen it with Kelly. We've seen it with Cosby. We've seen it with Kanye name even get tarnished. Now we've seen it with Diddy. And with black people is quick to persecute you. As soon as you do something wrong, you're going to be talked about. They get jokes made about you. They get memes on you. And you basically just, you know what I'm saying? You basically just become this nobody. You can't even recover from it. So that's exactly why they released this information. Now, obviously, like I said earlier, they throw your name under the bus. So that means you ain't shit anymore. But as soon as this information gets out and hits social media, they know that you will fall face flat on the ground because this is some crazy allegations coming out. Stuff with underage people, stuff with drugs, the parties. So when that comes out, it's heavy, clearly, right? Because of how heavy it is, it drops you and you can't recover from it. So that's why even if you don't get caught and go in prison, right, your name is fully destroyed. That's what they did with Michael. Michael's name is fully destroyed. But then there is evidence of the case. So then you do end up in prison, like where Diddy is right now. So this leads to how Jay-Z isn't following it. Like how I talked about my video a couple days ago, how the allegation came out at the start of the month, but he's still on top. It don't matter how much you hate him. You can hate him with your whole soul, whole heart, whole mind. It doesn't matter how much you hate him. He's still on top. You have to have hardcore evidence to prove that he did something for him to drop his money, for him to lose his money, and he has to mess up his contract with the industry, with his puppet masters, for them to fully drop him down. It does not matter what you did. Again, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter what you did, it's what you can prove. So he's still on top right now. I don't know how 2025 is going to go. We clearly saw how Diddy went down, but see, Puffy went down because Puffy had a lot of evidence come out against him, and he did something that went against his orders. So they pulled up all this evidence that he had of him, and they released it, and it kept stacking on top of him. He had too much evidence. He couldn't dodge that bullet. He literally couldn't dodge that bullet. It was too much with the video of what he did. Then he came out and then did an apology video. Then they raided his mansion. Then they found a crazy amount of evidence. Then they released it to the social media. So people laughing at him, bullying him, making jokes at him, no Diddy. It literally was too much, right? He literally couldn't dodge that bullet. Spending millions on lawyers. But there is so much people that he hurt and he was protected by for decades. And it comes out now that he literally had to take the fall. He couldn't dodge that any longer, right? So, Jay, back to Jay. Jay's protected. Jay has been holding up his end of the stick perfectly. The stuff that I was talking about in my last video and all the stuff that you could do your research on about him back on Google, there's a lot of people who's taking out stuff against him throughout social media. A lot of people don't like him. Even besides the allegation, a lot of people don't like him. So when this stuff comes out, they can't wait to hate him. Anyway, he's holding up his end of the stick pretty high. He's holding up his end of the stick pretty good. He's been doing it for 30 years. He's gonna keep doing it. I mean, he landed in the industry in 96, but all the allegations that we've been hearing about him goes back before, early 90s, 91, 92, 93. But the industry got him covered, right? I mean, he's a multi-billionaire. His net worth is like $2 billion. He's not going nowhere. So it brings me back to something that Bob Dylan has said in an interview years ago. Bob Dylan said that he made a deal and has to hold up his end of the bargain forever. I mean, look at how much money he has made. Look at his sales. Look at how popular he is. One of the most influential people of the 20th century, even into this century. Extremely popular. Merch, album sales, blah, 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 blah. Influenced so much people. He's a GOAT. You know what I'm saying? He's a GOAT. He's a legend. But like I said earlier, he has to hold up his end of the stick forever. If you slip up, you fall face down, face flat. Now, clearly, obviously, what I'm saying is that, yes, these people should be hurt and attacked and persecuted for what they've done. But when you know how this game work of the system, that is not the reason why they're going down. They're not going down just because they did something bad. They can be they're easily protected from that because of how much money they got and who they work for. They should, us as black people, us as the people, us as the fans and the community and the local regular people, we should talk about that. We should, you know what I'm saying, hold them accountable for that, because that's some crazy shit that y'all doing, but that's not the reason why they're going down. The reason why they are losing that status that they once had is not because of what they've done to get to that spot. They're going down because they couldn't keep the stick above them. Now, obviously, you could call them puppet masters. You know, these people work smart, right? Why you think that guy got caught in 2019? He was doing it for decades. Why you think all of a sudden he get caught in 2019 and then his list gets revealed in 2023, but no one does anything about it? If y'all know who he is, and obviously if his list got revealed in 2023, sorry, and no one does anything about that, what do you think? Why do you think so? I mean, really? You see who he is, the people who's around him, you hear every bad thing around that, and no one does anything about that, right? In 2019, he was found, you know what I'm saying? He was found like that. But think about why he was found like that. When he got pinned down, he had enough to bring everyone down with him. To keep that from happening, so everything could continue like it was just normal, he had to, you understand what I'm saying? We're basically living in like a game of chess, right? That's like the best metaphor that I could live in. I mean, not live in, that I could explain. Like, we're living in a game of chess. We living in a matrix. It's not the way you expect it to be. When certain things happen, it's not because why. It should be because why we think it's that, but it's always something deeper. Just like with why they're banning TikTok. They're not banning TikTok just because it caused many murders, you know, many unalives in the past, 3-4 years? They're getting rid of it because it's been talking about some crazy shit that gotta go, and it's owned by a foreign government. So there's one more thing I wanted to talk about in relation to your, how do I say, your status, and then not concealing to that status. Look at Kanye West, right? Before I talk about Kanye West, Ep had enough power to literally make bargains of his own. He has so much power to make bargains of his own, which means that he literally could have brought many politicians, artists, actors, models, directors, etc. People that we look up to, he could have brought them all down before COVID even hit. And the world would have been completely different right now. Like, there's so much things that could have happened that would have changed the way of history for us. Anyway, let me get back into what I wanted to say originally. Let's talk about Kanye West. That's my guy. That's my guy. But there's so much with him, right? And the whole point of this video was to name everything that I said earlier, but I also wanted to talk about why, well, not why, I don't want to say a victim, but an example of how far this rabbit hole can go. In June 2021, and I remember this vividly because it was hot as hell outside around that time, Kanye net worth had hit $6 billion, which was, he was the richest rapper, musician in the world. He beat everybody. And to be honest, when he had hit that money, well, him being the superstar that he is, he was trapped. He was physically trapped, he was mentally trapped, and he was spiritually trapped. And I say spiritually for a lot of reasons. Like, look at all his photo shoots that he had did. Look at his album title, Jesus. Look at, he always loved Jesus, but being in the industry, it takes that away from you. You're not gonna love Jesus and do what you do in the industry. You can't mix the two. We know Kanye to have said so much crazy, wild things. That's why he got the name Kanye Crazy. But I don't want to get into that. I want to specifically get into the recent years from 2019 to 2021 or 2022. After 2018, after he dropped Kids See Ghost and Ye Self-Titled and the feature with Lil Pump, I Love It. In 2019, Kanye originally was to drop Yandhi, but that never happened and whatever. Kanye wanted to change. Kanye wanted to become a Christian. And yeah, he wanted to become a Christian. And he had dropped Jesus is King. He had dropped Jesus is King around the end of the year when I had a funeral and all stuff like that. But people were trying to say, oh, he's trying to change for dropping that dirty song with Lil Pump and all that. And it was like, look, you can't, and all types of stuff. They were kind of like gunning him for wanting to change, like they didn't believe him, but they want to see where this era could go. Being realistic, like if you were to listen to his verse on Watch with Travis Scott and Lil Uzi, listen to the things he was talking about, like the mind games that he said that he was going through in the industry and the control that they were having over him. Like, you have to understand, when you are in the industry, you have so much money and so much influence. That's not all for you. That's not all your things. Your name and your look may be on it, but that's not yours. You're just holding it in your hand, but it's not yours. So after he had dropped that, those songs in 2018 and 2019, you could tell that he wanted to change his life. And I was actually happy for him. I was happy that he wanted to change his life. And you can tell that he wanted to become a Christian. If y'all remember in his Genius documentary that came out in 2022, in the part of the documentary when I was talking about how he had made Jesus his king and he wanted to change his life and he wanted to change his influence, he was literally finding out about some Christian truths. He found out what's God's name. He said Jehovah. He said Jehovah in the video, which was cool. That caught my attention. I was like, okay, he wants to know, right? He wants to change. Fast forward from 2019 to 2022. He ended his contract with Adidas and lost billions of dollars. He lost it fast, but in the result of him cutting off that contract, he said that he felt free. I think his net worth had dropped back to 400 million. I remember I checked it and I did the math. I was like, he lost billions, damn. But in that viral video, he said he felt free. He said he felt good. And I actually kind of I was happy for him. I was like, all right, you said you kind of didn't have any ties to the industry. And I remember how on his second album, Donda Part 2, he didn't want to drop the album on using music streaming services. He wanted to drop it on his stem player, on the stem player. And a lot of people actually bought the stem player just for him. I was like, I'm not buying that. So I technically was listening to it unreleased, but that's besides the point. He didn't want to drop it on Spotify, Tidal, YouTube. He did go live, obviously, and previewed it to us so we could hear it. But his goal was to just drop it on stem player only. But that didn't really end up as well as I think he thought and as a lot of people thought was going to go with that. Eventually, after the stem player, he had a scandal with Jews. He had a scandal when he was talking about some real shit. He was talking about how Jews own all the high-ranking companies and all the high-ranking industries, which I have heard of growing up.
Now what we need to do is we need to keep everything in our neighborhood, everything, black. Black owned with black money. Just like the Jews, the Italians, the Mexicans, and the Koreans do.
And to be honest, that actually like connects back to this video that I seen on YouTube called Hollywoodism, talking about how Jews had built Hollywood from the start back in the 1920s, and how they had to flee from their country, come here, and then kind of like hide themselves, hide their true selves, but blend in to start and build something. I mean, they built an industry. They're the ones that created the American dream. They started making life be able to focus on like fun and what do you want to do when you grow up type stuff. And it's just an interesting video just to see on how the landscape, how they built that landscape and how they set the tone for our future and their future family's future. And it's lit. But that's besides the point. But what I wanted to get into was after that scandal happened, it completely embarrassed him, embarrassed his name, and it embarrassed his skin color. If there's a black person, right, on social media just coming out saying all types of like racist things or things that sound out of the ordinary, things that'll make you look like you have three heads. If you come out and say things like that just out of nowhere with no context, and people have never heard of this before, of course they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. So when that scandal happened, people didn't know what he's talking about. So it immediately tarnished his name and it turned him into a joke, meme, hatred, all types of stuff. Now, I'm not defending what he said, everything he said, but what I'm telling you is he meant to describe something as how Jews run the industry, which is just a flat out truth. But he just described it bad and it got him deeper where people just hated him, tarnished his name, couldn't take him serious. And that's a part of the humiliation. That's a part of what I'm talking about. See, earlier this year in 2024, we have the Diddy parties coming out, talking about the thousands of bottles of lubricant, what the hell? And how many people are at his parties and all the dirty allegations coming out from 20 years ago. Even with Jay, earlier this month, Jay had his allegations come out. And there's so much more. I mean, like I said, again, it's been happening for the past 5 years, but there's so much more to come throughout this decade. But that's just an example of humiliation, disrespect, dirtness to your name, and it destroys your image. It automatically gets the people to hate you. It quickly turned the black community against him. You know how fast people were hated him? I don't want to say hating on him, I want to say they hated him. They were pissed off at him. I didn't see a celebrity get so hated so much around that time but him. He was the only celebrity that people hated, which I understand because it comes off as disrespectful. So many people came out. Independent journalists that came out against him. Celebrities came out against him. Local people came out against him. People who were once his fans went against him. And with Kanye, it's kind of like hard to defend because Kanye have always been known to say a lot of outrageous things. Even back when he had said Bill Clinton hates black people back in the 2000s. Like, Kanye has been known to say a lot of crazy things. That's why he had the nickname Kanye Crazy. But it's like he was just being played with and laughed at. Like, people just wasn't taking him serious. So, like I said earlier, when the black people who had hated him, especially people at my school hated Kanye. All my friends, all the girls, what? Oh my gosh. So whatever their goal was worked perfect because it literally turned people against him. People were just saying all types of crazy shit. Yo. And he was in the midst of continuing to disappear. Kanye disappeared so much times in 2022. Like, he disappeared, drops the stem player. Down on the stem player. Disappears from that. His music is getting leaked. Comes back, says the crazy scandal with that, disappears again. And while all of that is happening, his name it's crazy. The devil don't play fair. He doesn't play fair. He does not play fair at all. is you can't play with him because he's not going to play fair at all. Whatever whatever is your hell, he's making a joke out of it. A part of that was people were even saying that Drake was better than him. Like, no. What? No. Like, people were just saying anything just to get mad. Like, oh, well, Drake's better than him. No. Like, all types of, blah, 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 blah. All the girls at my school hated him. All the girls were mad at me for listening to Kanye West. Like, I could have been playing his music. If I'm listening to him on a laptop, they look at me weird. If I play him on my phone, they look at me weird. If I put in some AirPods to listen to him, they're looking at me weird. Like, they were literally laughing at me. Like, they were saying that he was terrible, he was horrible. Like, I don't know if that was like an opinion that they developed on their own or if they were mad about what he said in 2022. But how I view it as was with that scandal of that in 2022 plus their opinions of their music type, it just came together and they were just like, all right, forget it. Because why all of a sudden y'all just saying he's terrible? Like, they didn't have a reason for why they were saying he was terrible. They just want to say he was terrible. Like, I remember like my YouTube page, when I just had started YouTube around 2022, well, I started YouTube before that, but in 2022, my nickname, my YouTube page was Kanye Fest. I did Kanye Fest. Same thing with my TikTok. My TikTok had like 5,000 followers. It was Kanye Fest. And I remember when I told my friends about my social medias, so we can, follow each other, stay in contact, all types of shit like that. And they were laughing. They're like, Kanye? I mean, I didn't know what nickname to use. That's my guy. I was like, I'll just put Kanye. Remember, Kanye's in my top 5. Like, you just gotta give credit when credit is due. I feel like, I don't know if people had their opinions already or they just weren't giving credit when credit was due. I don't know. Kanye talented. Like, it even got so bad to a point. People were even saying Lil Baby was better than Kanye West. And I almost started crying. I was like, what? Like my face. I was like, what? I was like the only teenager saying that Kanye was better than Lil Baby. I know this is besides the point of this video, but it, like, what? Like, I had to ask my friends. I was like, Kanye or Lil Baby? All the girls said Lil Baby. All the niggas said Lil Baby. And all my teachers, I think the adults, are the ones that was like, oh, Kanye. Like, I had asked, cool teacher, Mr. Mitchell. He was like, Kanye, what? And then I had asked this white teacher, not to call out race, but I had to ask my biology teacher. She said Kanye. I had another friend that I grew up with, and he's only 3 months younger than me. Bro, he said he never heard of Kanye West. I looked at him, I was like, what you mean you never heard of Kanye West? I'm Jamaican, and I know Kanye West. How you don't, what? How does the white teacher know him, not you? Not to call out race, but it's the truth. That doesn't even make any sense. Anyway, it was just, I mean, I just felt like I needed to say that, because it was crazy how the industry just throws you under the bus when you don't serve them, when you don't salute to them, when you don't subdue to them. And then people just pick up the scraps. People just go straight for it. Obviously, these people need to be held up against whatever crazy things that they've done, but that's not why they're going down. Not going down because of that, because if that was the case, they would have went down a week after they did it. Not 10, 20, 30 years later after they did it. They should have went down the day they did it, the week they did it, the month they did it. Why are they going down all these decades later, all these years later? They have full families making money, businesses, investments, and now they're going down. If you do your research on everybody who's going down for the rest of the year, yeah, they have all these horrible allegations on them that we need to hold them accountable for, but they also had a slight thing that may not have seemed big to us, but it's big to the industry, and it's bigger to the industry than the allegations. The allegations should be bigger than the other thing, but it's the other way around because the way this system works is completely backwards, right? One more thing I wanted to say before I end this. Back to Kanye's Donda era in 2021. Kanye was hanging around. Kanye was trying to find the light, but he was hanging around people of the darkness. Kanye was trying to find the light, but he's hanging around Satanists. And I didn't get that when I first saw Donda back in 2021. When he had dropped the album and I saw the listening parties, and I saw Marilyn Manson there, I saw DaBaby there, I saw all these rappers there, and I saw Cardi there too, while Cardi was also in his vampire era. I'm like, why are you having these particular set of people at your party? People who are puppets of the industry. But I mean, I was like, you're not supposed to, if you want to become a Christian, you're not supposed to associate with bad association. It's going to drag you down, because we're born in the darkness. We're clinging to the darkness. So if you're trying to find the light, why would you stay around darkness? You get what I'm saying? But I don't know. He was hanging around bad company, then disappeared a lot, and then under his name said all this crazy shit, and then people were looking at him like, when he took so many breaks. He kept disappearing, like, and there was times when he said if he disappeared, it's on him and stuff like that, and he came back looking different and all types of shit like that. And that's another story for another video. I don't want to get into that because they might strike this video down. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Kim Kardashian had him on a leash. Like, that marriage was to keep him on a leash. He made all this money, was a puppet of the industry for so long, and I feel like when he wanted to get out those strings, they immediately get divorced. He starts losing his mind, starts dressing different, acting weird. But he's still trying to find the light, right? He's trying to find Jesus. He was trying to find Jesus around when he was with Kim. Then they break up, divorce. Then his wife got custody of the kids, and then the Pete Davidson thing. Then when that happened, he started saying some evil stuff. He started saying that he wanted to hurt him. He was getting mad. He didn't know how to react. And it was like they were playing with his mind just to break him. And I remember Dr. Umar even spoke on that too. He was like, if Kanye had a better woman as his wife, he wouldn't be going through what he's going through. They're all playing him. They're all keeping him stressed out. And then didn't she put him on child support too? Trying to kill this man. Oh my goodness. I was feeling bad for him at one point. Like, you gotta really think deeper about it. Like, these are normal people going through their hell. And then, I don't know. I mean, I felt like he was on a leash. I feel like the industry had him on a leash. But, I mean, I don't know. We just gotta see.
R. Kelly is in jail because he didn't want to sell his masters to a certain music company. If he's wrong, he should do the time. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying he's only there because he broke the rules. Bill Cosby went to jail, not for molesting white women, but him and his wife didn't want to let the second largest oil company in the world drill under their home for oil. These people are not going to jail for sex crimes. They're going to jail for standing their ground. Puffy might be guilty, but that ain't why Puffy in jail. Puffy in jail because listen. You cannot be emotional and solve political problems. You cannot be emotional and solve, we get that from church. Church is all about emotion. You cannot liberate a people with emotion. Puffy may be guilty, and if it is, he should do the time. But that's not why he's there. Hugh Hefner did what Puffy did. He never went to jail. Puffy is in jail because he started a black first political party. Puffy is in jail because he sued one of the most powerful liquor companies in London. That's why Puffy's in jail. What the media does, because they know black people like to see black people fail, is they'll sell us this when the real agenda is that. I'm not saying don't hold them accountable. Hold them accountable. As black people, we believe in ethics and morality and character. But don't be so dumb that you can't see the hidden hand at play. That's all.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I mean, I made a bargain with it, long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.